Hello, my name is Sterling Ashby. This is the first of what I hope will be many videocasts posted to my blog, Actualizing, the process of bringing ideas alive. I'm a lawyer and a toy maker. A few years ago I was an employee at a very comfortable job. I chose to transition in an attempt to bring alive some of the ideas that I had, one being a line of historically inspired action figures, so kids could learn while playing. This resulted in the founding of HIA Toys. www.hiatoys.com. Today I'd like to talk about key considerations when deciding to make a transition, particularly by sharing a few thoughts on motivation, financial plan, timing, and resources. What drives you to make the jump? Well, for me, first I took an assessment of where I was with my life. I had some goals, looked at them, thought, where am I trying to go? What am I trying to do? Then I took stock of the couple options I had before me. Continue in this job, and in this case it was as a lawyer at a law firm, or two, maybe branch off and pursue this entrepreneurial vision of bringing about a toy line of history-inspired action figures. I then did the so what test on the two options. Stay in the job as a lawyer, so what? Make a lot of money, so what? Buy a big house, so what? Alright, I'm left with a big house at that option. On the other side, start a toy line, so what? Kids enjoy themselves and learn, so what? Have a deep impact on kids at an early age in which they might go out and do something really spectacular, so what? Between the two, I chose the toy line. So when should you make the jump? Well, for me, I decided to make the jump from my full-time employment to working on my project full-time at the point in which my time was holding up the project. For me, it was around August or July, and I was trying to meet a December deadline. And I could not be blaming consultants or other people for not meeting that deadline. I decided to take the full responsibility for meeting that deadline. In the end, I came up a little short. The product was ready at that time, but it was not ready to be sold because there were some other barriers in the shipping process. I'm bringing my prototype over from the factory. Would I have resigned earlier or later? No, I think it was an appropriate time. You never know. I would keep that income coming in as long as possible. What was my state of mind? Yes, it was a big adventure. It was a big step to step out on my own. And I didn't have any issues with my current employer, like that, resentment or things like that. No. Thank you for the time I was able to spend. I probably should have done a better job of preserving those relationships and maybe keeping them updated along the way to keep the people on your team. But, you got limited time, and what you decide to do with your time is, a personal decision there. As far as when you might go back, at some point I started putting my legal skills back to work to earn an income after putting a complete year totally on my toy project. But when the financial return is not as great as I'd like, I had to find a way to continue to eat and buy some gas and all those other things necessary for living. Also, other key considerations when making such a jump: have a budget and incorporate a financial professional sooner than later. Not a financial planner, but really a bookkeeper or an accountant very early in the process. Let's talk a little bit about finances. In my particular instance, I was lucky enough to have saved enough money to cover my project, even though the expenses were in the six-figure range for my project. But I don't know that I did it right. That doesn't mean it's not great to have your own money so you can have your own say-so and control, but money's a blessing and a curse. If I had someone else's money, I might have had someone else invest in my project to help bring about greater success in quicker time. One of the things I would do differently is I would include a financial professional as far as in the accounting area earlier and sooner. Yes, I wrestled with QuickBooks and some of the other programs, but I would get someone involved earlier and sooner. A greater discipline in that area my project could have benefited from. As far as checking in, as far as like when do you say enough is enough, again, yeah, I think really let your commitment and your idea move you there on whether or not to stay with your idea as long as possible. Again, you're making trade-offs about how you want to live in the process. For myself, I really cut down on the ways I might have lived when I wasn't involved in my project as far as personally. Hey, how do you build out your idea? Well, let's step back for a second. Michael Gerber of the E-Myth says that there are 7 disciplines needed to master in order to have a successful company or to build a business around an idea. And those 7 disciplines are leadership, marketing, management, financial planning, client fulfillment, lead cultivation, and lead generation. All right, let's start there. All right, then the resources, I need resources in each one of those areas. Now, some of the key resources for me were, so in the area of efficiency tools or web applications, Basecamp. Basecamp's a project management system. You can find a link for it on my blog, and it's very, very helpful. I would not have been able to do my project without Basecamp, and for me, I linked it to a file sharing, file storage system, StrongSpace. Another one was Constant Contact that I used to kind of connect with my network and send messages out and keep track of those messages and manage open rates. Recently, I've become really addicted or working a lot more in the social media area. Hootsuite is a fantastic tool to be able to listen to what people are saying out in the marketplace of social media regarding a particular set of ideas or topics or maybe even your product. All right, those are a couple areas there. What about people? People are a fantastic resource. For me, my greatest strengths were some of my family members, my sister, my brother-in-law, and helping me bring an idea alive. They were able to help me move the prototype along a whole lot. I was lacking a little bit in the financial management area and maybe some of the marketing areas. But one of the great ways to talk to people is use simple agreements, simple consulting agreements, simple work for hire agreements, simple confidentiality agreements. These are some of the simple agreements you might use to you can share your idea. You got to be able to share your idea and get people on board and part of your team. Then what about how did you vet your idea? Now for me, I just kind of vetted it informally. I'd be at cocktail party conversations or gatherings or groups of people and talk about different aspects. You're not sharing your whole idea, but you're working through thoughts about different parts of your idea. You don't have to give them the whole backstory. I'd say, who are some of the famous people you think about from history? I'd share with them, who do you think kids are moved by? What toys are kids moved by? Why are kids moved by toys? Because I had my goal in mind. As far as relationships are just key. Expanding your network so that you can move this project forward. Key books for me. One in the area of marketing. I've read a ton of sales related books, and there's too many to list, but that was a key weakness area for me. But the most important book for me is Michael Gerber's E-Myth and his follow-up book, because they give you the great mindset for how to approach a business. And finally, maybe Keith Ferrazzi there for Never Eat Lunch Alone, and encouraged me how to expand a network and reach and meet people who I didn't know before. As far as business plans, initially I went with one of those software packages to build out a business plan, but now I'm convinced that Michael Gerber's simple model business plan, a business plan that never fails, he calls it, his approach to writing it is the best approach to go. And you can see that in his book. Thanks for taking time to listen to a couple thoughts I had to share. If you have any questions, please check out my blog, The Actualizing Process. I'll run the HTTP shortly, or follow up with me via email. I look forward to speaking with you some more.